got good music blasting in my car door. Check. Do I need heated grips? I've got that, but it's sunny, it's not cold. Check. Cruise control and just chill like that. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the BMW Luxury.
Ndingakoti upenyu wacho iwo ni kufadaya.
Kufadaya ndo kuita sei?
Lesha baba.
Luxury from Berlin. Riding the 2024 S1000RR, and today we're gonna find out what this is all about. But man, first things first, I'm loving this cruise control. I can actually sit on the pillion seat here and just cruise, you know, just let it slide and smooth and just, you know, stretch my back if I need to. Oh man, this feels so good because oh man, I'm riding towards Chunguiza. This is Sunday. I feel like it's a bit of an open road, so I can enjoy myself. There's not too much traffic. And today we're gonna review the S1000RR. Is it the best super bike like most of y'all think? Or is it overrated like I think? We're gonna find out about that in a moment. Man, this feels so good. This feels so good. Anyway, you just brake, cruise control is going to cut off, and you can switch it off by that. I'm also testing this padlock. Hopefully I don't lose my phone while testing. When I make a right turn here and do a loop, I've changed my mind. I want to go Airport Road. Where do I turn, by the way? Listen to that. Let's do a neutral and be good. You see that hill assist, it activates even if I'm neutral. I won't roll back. It's gonna hold it for me. I won't roll back and I won't need to struggle with my brakes or anything. So boy, eh, aka drone. Dangorekoda zangu kutosirekoda inini. Yeah.
How much is this bike? Ndati.
Moyona price.
Simirira imuone action. Ndoda kuti muchikuona action chete muchanakirwa.
All right, so I had to make a quick turn by Koala Park here because I figured if I was going to really ride this bike the way I used to ride the ZX10, I want it to be in a road that I'm used to. So right now I've just made a U-turn. I'm no longer going towards Chunguiza, but I'll go along Seke Road. Then by Coca-Cola I will make a turn. That start, man. I'll make a turn towards Airport Road. Man, this thing is quick. maybe let's talk about the S1000RR for a second. This is a 2024, like I mentioned, and there isn't really much done to it, mode wise or yeah, tuning wise. It's barely stock. The only thing that's done on this bike is a full exhaust system. It's an Akrapovic full system with an LV Leo Vince, I don't know how you pronounce it, but that's Leo Vince LV Costa slip on those shorties. So that's what I've got on this bike. Other than that, it's barely stock, 100% stock. So I thought that was quite important to get out of the way, because we're going to talk about how it compares to the ZX10 in a bit, and those modes that have been done. The ZX10 had something done to it. So yeah, this bike has got a bunch of electronics. You've got heated grips, you've got a bunch of modes, you've got riding modes, I mean. You've got cruise control, one of my favorite. I think it comes handy, especially if you're going on if you're on a long trip and you just want to stretch your back a bit. You just flip it like that, set it, and sit up straight, and then just, you know, you don't have to stop. At least you're continuing the journey, but you can stretch your back a bit. So it doesn't, you know, stretching your back when you're riding doesn't need to be a whole hour or something. It's just a 10-15 minute stretch is enough to get those body fluids going, and that should reset you right quick. So yeah, what else should I talk about? One thing I like about the S1000 is that it's smooth. It's very smooth. Like I think it's a good thing and it's a problem at the same time. I'll explain why. So unlike the raw bikes, like all those, like the other bikes that do not have a bunch of electronics, like the BMWs, you can feel that you're in the power band, and you can feel that it's pulling. You can feel the aggression of the bike. But on this one, you might be going hella fast and you won't feel that you're going as fast, and that might be a problem, because you might then overdo it and you only realize you're doing too much when you're now in a situation where you gotta avoid collision or you're losing control. What's this guy doing? Riding on my tail like that, bro. Anyway, yeah, so that's the good thing about the BMWs. Oh, bad, it feels good to ride because it's extra smooth, but if you're not careful, like I said, you might forget that you're riding a super fast bike. You might not feel that you're going extra fast, and that might be a problem and end you up in trouble. The suspension as well is very smooth. It's got an electronic suspension. You can adjust all those things within the menus. Dynamic traction control you can add or reduce, and there's a bunch of things that I can talk about on this bike, but I just want to tell you about how I feel when I'm riding it, not necessarily what it comes with. You can adjust wheelie control, you know, when you're race mode or race pro 1, 2 or 3, you can adjust those things so that when you take off, it doesn't lift the front as much, or it does lift the front and the whole control, it leaves up to you. So that means you've turned off all assist, every assist that the bike can do for you as far as wheelie control is concerned. But yeah, listen to that. Man, I love those burbles, like when you let go of the you know, it's things like this that make men happy and women can never understand. I feel like I've got the tech, why not use it and just, you know, spread my arms as I'm talking to you guys. I'll just lean a bit to the left for me to switch to the left. I'm sure if you've ridden a bicycle in your teens or when you were young, you understand how this works. On the ZX10, ZX10 had a bunch of modifications done to it. It had the head done, so gas floored, polished valves, rest cams, and it also had rest tools by SP from UK. So that would give you a launch control, that would give you your pit lane limiter, all those things. And this thing comes with all those things stock. You don't have to add them on like I did on the ZX10. The BMW comes with the pit lane limiter and the launch control. You just press this button, your start button when you're in gear, and it activates either pit lane limiter or launch control. I'll obviously do the launch control thing when I get to the to the intersection there. So because the ZX10 had the head built, I felt like power-wise, compared to this bike in this current state, the ZX10 would have more power. So if you push this button forward, it will add throttle. If you can check now, I'm in 70 kilometers an hour, 72, 73, 74, and if I tap it back, it starts reducing that speed automatically, and I can leave it there if I'm happy with the speed. Now, I was saying the ZX10 had a bunch done to it, so power-wise, I feel like the ZX10 would beat this bike. If I were the one on the ZX10 and I'm racing this bike, I'm confident I would beat this bike. I might be wrong, but I'm confident I would beat this bike on my ZX10. So this bike uses GP shift, so I'm still a bit confused with my pit lane limiter. Groovy, Bambino, you guys love this sound. Anyway, let's signal that 110 right. Anyway, I was saying I feel like I could beat this bike if I was on the ZX10, and I was racing myself on this bike. Like, I'm trying to keep the I had to give him some, man. Anyway, people love these things. Anyway, I might be wrong, but this bike, remember I said it's completely stock. So it's the stock tune. Nothing has been done on the map. I hope the guys that sell watermelons by the roundabout, they are there. I feel like grabbing a watermelon and just, quenching a thirst. So yeah, the ZX10 on the other side is it's not as smooth as this bike. You can feel you're in the power band, you can feel it pulling your soul out. So I like to use this analogy when I'm giving the comparison that I was just explaining. Imagine yourself driving a Toyota sedan, maybe let's say a Camry, or an Allion, or a Belta, or a Corolla. You can stretch it to hit 180 kilometers an hour, and you will get there, but you will feel that you're going too fast. But if you're driving a BMW or a Mercedes, these German cars are very good with their suspension. They're quite comfy. You won't really feel that you're going too fast. That's why you can hit over 200 kilometers an hour on the same road in those cars that you would feel scared when you're driving, say, a Corolla. So that's the kind of analogy that I like to use when comparing the S1000RR to maybe some Japanese bikes like the CBRs. But the new ones, the newer bikes, the newer Japanese, they are somewhat smooth. I've ridden a friend's R1M, a Yamaha. I believe it's a 2022 R1M, and that bike is just as smooth as the S1000RR. I loved the ride so much. So that being said, I would say my analogy might only be limited to the older Japanese bikes and not necessarily the newer ones. Let me give you a look at the S1000RR, baby. Oh man, this bike looks beautiful. That's the other thing. This bike is so good looking that I freaking love it. Whew. Let's buy some watermelon and quench a little thirst before we go and pump this bike along Airport Road and back, and compare how I'm talking about pumping, and I see my gentle reminder that I put there for myself. So you can get yourself watermelons, fruits here, and majanje and mango. Chibaba, seriously, Gules, how are you?
Ayo, mushe.
The melon, I'm going to slice check it out, slice, and I'm Flight rate, Mari. Okay. Let's enjoy ourselves and quench our thirst in the watermelon and continue when we give it a pump. Nice pump. All right, so that was such a nice watermelon by Biggers here. Elbow. And we're about to pump the S1000 towards Bahrain International Airport. Wanna know how serious this is? I've removed my phone from the quad lobe. At those speeds I don't want to test quad lobe and blind them, because yeah, it would be quite fast. Yeah, anyway, beneath the 360 is rolling. I am rolling towards airport. Let's go. Brakes on this bike are so good. It's got Brembos, so yeah, I would expect that. Listen to that. Going to get into the airport, but yeah, this bike is fast. This bike is fast. That change down, man, nothing fits the Jet 2 holiday. However, I hate that it's difficult to find neutral on this bike. On the Kawasaki, it's easy. You get it the first time. On this bike, however, I gotta try a couple of times. One thing I've noticed with the acceleration of this bike, it's a bit quicker than the ZX10, but it doesn't have the same top end. And I think it's because this bike is a bit short geared, because it's got a 46 tooth sprocket at the back and a 17 tooth sprocket on the front, whereas the ZX10 has got a 42 sprocket in the rear and a 17 as well on the front. So that means that the less teeth you have at the back means that you're gonna have longer gears. Your first gear is going to stretch all the way up until maybe 170 kilometers an hour, whereas if you have more teeth at the back, your gearing is going to be shorter, which means my first gear is only going to be maybe 140, 130 kilometers an hour. So, but the advantage is that you get quicker acceleration. So you accelerate quicker, but you suffer with top end speed, whereas on the ZX10 you accelerate a bit slower, but you've got a higher top speed. But however, that's not a biggie, because you can always change your gearing depending on the application that you would want to suit. So if you're a dragster, you obviously want quicker acceleration. If you're dragging the bike, you wanna, even if you're doing circuit racing, you would want that, because it's going to help you get through and out of the corners quicker and accelerate quicker as well. Yeah, basically I think that's the comparison. So it's complaining. So for the $1 million question, is the S1000RR overrated or not? I still maintain that this bike is overrated, but hear me out. Hear me out. Hear me out. I know you guys love this bike. I know everyone loves this S1000RR, but I'm objective. I don't use my emotions to think about these things or to judge. So this is my reason why. This bike is very good, like very good. One of the best super bikes on the market right now. It's the best selling. All that shows that the bike is good enough. It's that good. It's smooth. It's everything. It's got power. But I feel like the BMW fanboys, or the people that like the S1000RR, I feel like they do it a bit too much. Not necessarily. Was I on the call with someone? What the hell just happened? The father was trying to call me. I feel like the BMW fanboys do it a bit too much. I feel like they give it too much credit than what's worth. I mean, if I were to score this bike, I would probably give it 90% or 95%. And that 5% is just room for improvement, man. I might not know what else to put on this bike, because I'm not an engineer, I'm not a designer of these things, but I'm sure most of the BMW fanboys would give this bike 150% from how you guys rate this bike, how you guys speak about this bike. You make it sound like there's nothing else that can beat this bike in any area whatsoever. Of which my point is, no, this bike is very good in most areas, but there are areas where it would be beaten by a ZX10. There are areas that it would be beaten by many bikes. You know, the electronics are, like I said, they're not really the best. In some situations, the smoothness is quite nice. It's a good feeling, but sometimes it might fool you into thinking that you're such a good rider when you're not. It might fool you to think that you've got the necessary skill when you don't, and you might find yourself in trouble because the bike feels so smooth. You feel you're good and you're comfortable on it, and nothing could go wrong until everything goes wrong. So that's my judgment. Is this one of the best bikes on the planet? Yes, 100%. I think in most cases I might pick it as my number one. That's why I said I would give it 95%. That's still an A+, but not as much as you guys rate this bike, giving it 150%. That is nothing like that. You always need there are ZX10s, there's the R1M, we've got the Ducatis and other super bikes that could outdo this bike in many areas. So yeah, I think look at this guy. Chamariga, you know the right time. Hello, Magadi, ndotokumbira mimi. Oh no. I ndopera nefio. Mira man, anika tukutaure. Kwa hiyo kudotize. Saka botitara pa phone. Heavy. Anyway, there's Stefadzo, a friend of mine, and I thought I would use Guma Kwashamar. So yeah, like I said, I would give this bike 95%. As it's an A plus, it's a pass mark, 100%. But I wouldn't give it 120%, 130, 150, 200% like you guys do. No, that's not realistic. There are still areas that this bike might improve. I believe BMW came guns blazing when they released the S1000RR in 2009. It had a bunch of electronics that we had not seen on the superbike market, like ABS and things like that. So your dynamic traction control, your riding modes, the rain mode when it's raining, when the road is slippery, it's quite useful. So those guys are really good and they're very innovative. But again, I feel like you guys give it too much credit for what it's worth. It is really good, very good, extremely good, but not as much as you guys give the credit. So yeah, I think that about wraps up this video. I'm gonna pump again back to Limpopo.